On this Searching for History, we are going to be taking a look at the historic town of Tumwater, originally known as Newmarket. It was established in the mid to the end of the 1840s. There isn't actually much left of the historic town of Tumwater. In the mid-1950s, when they built Interstate 5, they built it right through the town of Tumwater. Most of the town, the original town, no longer exists.
In this episode, we're going to look around historic Tumwater and see what remains of the old town.
So behind us here is the historic brewhouse. Unfortunately, we can't visit. It's on property that's not accessible, so we can't show you that. But we are going to take a look at the Crosby House and the Henderson House.
And we'll also check out the ruins of a powerhouse along the Deschutes River. We'll also take a look at the Schmidt House, and then finally we'll take a look at an old church that was on the edge of historic Tumwater. Come along with us as we find historic Tumwater.
So what you see here is a photograph of the brewery and Tumwater in 1910. So here's the brew house that's standing today. There's the Schmidt House above it. Yeah, we're standing about here. And so see this bridge that crossed?
Yeah.
That no longer exists. Can you see the church? Oh yeah, look. Yeah, right here is the church we're going to visit. Look at that.
So there was all this.
Yes, so unfortunately, what you see running through here, this is all removed by the freeway. So here's the original main street of Tumwater that came through here. Here is the Olympia Light and Power Company Powerhouse, built in 1905, right where the river's coming down. In the 1880s, Tumwater passengers boarded the train at George Gelbach's flour mill, which stood on the side of the river near the Middle Falls. That's basically up there a little ways, is where that would have existed.
This is talking about streetcars. They use the Tumwater Falls to produce electricity.
Yeah, and we're actually going to walk down the river. What we're going to see is the foundation of the powerhouse.
First powerhouse on the Deschutes was a simple wood frame building that stood at the Middle Falls.
Yeah, in 1905, the Olympia Light and Power Company built a new stone powerhouse below the lower falls, and that's the foundation we're going to take a look at. It looks like the powerhouse was demolished in 1962. So here's the location of the Simmons Grist mill, built in 1846. It was in this approximate location right here next to the river, at the foot of the lower falls. Michael T. Simmons built Newmarket's first flour mill from logs and river stones. Simmons Grist Mill, 1846. Makes you wonder if you could do an excavation around here, if you would find anything.
Any kind of milling stones or anything?
Yeah, I doubt the milling stones exist, but foundations or other artifacts, nails, things like that.
A bunch of old
evidence.
Old evidence.
Prosser buttons. So here's an example of a remaining building, in this case a house, that was from the town of Tumwater. This house was built in 1860 by Clanrick and his wife Phoebe Crosby. They sailed from New England in 1849 and arrived in Tumwater in 1851. They purchased two of the most promising businesses in Newmarket, a crude sawmill and a grist mill. So the Crosbys, when they moved here, they purchased the Simmons grist mill. And they filed a donation land claim for 524 acres. All of this land here would have been in that donation land claim. Yeah, during the 1950s, construction of Interstate 5 demolished the main street of Tumwater and sliced through the rear of the property surrounding the Crosby House. This is Tumwater's oldest surviving home.
Is it available to go inside and tour? because they say it contains 19th century furnishings and all the, a collection of things to kind of recreate what it would have looked like.
Yeah, so it's on the Washington State Historic Register.
Yeah,
the blind's drawn, so you can't see anything on the inside.
It's closed until further notice. They must be doing some restoration.
The main street of Tumwater would have been somewhere here, and as you can see, I-5 is running through. But I think it was right over here.
Right. Oh, you found one window that's...
I think this is the kitchen. Can't really see anything in there, though.
Yeah. They must be doing restoration on the furniture.
Yeah, there's a refrigerator and microwave in there, so
Yeah.
the kitchen must be on this side of the house, extending into this area.
Yeah. This is one of the homes that was built here at the turn of the 20th century.
It says built in 1905.
Yeah. But it was owned by, it was built and owned by one of the first brewmasters at the Olympia Brewing Company.
Okay.
The house was built in 1905 for William and Louise Neumann at a cost of $1,500. This house boasted conveniences as hot and cold running water, heat from a coal-fired boiler, and electric lights in each room. Though the house was built at the turning of the brand new century, its design was largely inspired by the passing Victorian age. The asymmetrical profile bay windows, fancy upstairs shingles, and romantic corner turret were all familiar features of the Queen Anne style. So it's named after the last family who lived here.
So these are the upper Tumwater Falls. This is the Deschutes River. So in this location here, a sawmill was built in 1852. So apparently there was a bridge that crossed here. I wonder though if really that's that location where Custer Way goes across today.
Yeah,
I bet it is.
I think so.
Yeah, it says here in 1880 a bigger bridge crossed the river at Custer Way, replacing the wooden bridge. Now here's some sort of a structure. See that?
Yeah.
I would think this was some sort of a mill. I mean, this could be the powerhouse, but there's another structure further down that I think it was the powerhouse. But you can see that water was funneled through these foundations, flowing out that way. So I could see that there could have been wheels, turning, taking advantage of that flow. Now, like, what's that structure?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Look at this.
What if that's part of the original powerhouse?
Yeah, it's hard to say. Something was mounted on top here.
Yeah. Wow, it was big.
And there's more foundation down there by the water. You can see where like beams went down right there, and they would have come up kind of crisscrossed. Yeah, I don't know. No idea. So in 1906, the brew house was built by Leopold Schmidt. Schmidt already owned a successful brewery in Montana, and on a business trip to Olympia, he was tipped off on the presence of exceptional springs nearby. The artisan wells of Tumwater turned out were perfect for brewing beer. So you can't see it, but up here in the trees is the Schmidt House, so the house that the original owners of the brewery lived in. So we will go up there and take a look at that. So see, here's foundations. I think this has something to do with the original powerhouse.
Yeah.
But you can see there's more infrastructure coming down, and then you have this here. I mean, for all I know, all of it was part of kind of a powerhouse complex. Yeah, I mean, this almost looks like it's an outlet for the water that ran through the powerhouse.
Yeah.
To then go back into the Deschutes River down here. Yeah, if you look over there, there's a water intake.
Right.
And then water is then funneled down through that concrete structure to then come through here. Look how the water's eroded the rock there.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. There's a lot of water coming through here.
Yeah.
Next stop, we'll go look at the Schmidt House.
Great.
And then after that, I know one more building that is from the original town of Tumwater.
Okay.
So in this location was George Gelbach's 3-story flour mill. It was built right here by the Middle Falls. And you can see it here in this historic photo. That structure we were looking at, I think that has something to do with it right there. Actually, that structure is a later period structure than the flour mill, because it says here in 1880 something, George Gelbach sold most of his land to the Olympia Light and Power Company, which produced electricity. By 1890, the power company had bought Gelbach's flour mill, as well as built a sturdy modern dam just a short distance downstream.
So maybe that infrastructure that we saw underneath that little bridge there is the dam.
Yeah. So the structure down there is probably the dam part of the complex. Then this has something to do with the powerhouse. And then that structure up there has something to do with the powerhouse too. So it's kind of spanned this whole stretch of the river.
Right.
Because yeah, you can see here, here's the dam, and then there's some historic buildings next to it. It's interesting. Yeah, so you can see here the water being backed up. So this gorge you see here, parts of it was filled with water.
Yeah.
So now we're at the Schmidt House. Let's see what we can find out about it. I've actually gone inside the Schmidt House. It's pretty cool in there, but I'm not sure when it's actually opened for tours. If I remember correctly, you have the original house, and then that's an add-on. So that
The part to the left.
Yeah, that wing there was built at a later date. I think today they use this for meetings and weddings,
Different events, yeah.
things like that. I like these classical statues they have out here.
Yeah, they're they're classical, but they have like pioneer kind of iconography on them.
Right, so she's holding that rod, which I think is some sort of a medical symbol. And then she's clutching a bag. I don't really know what that means. Do you have any idea?
Maybe it's like health and wellness, like a medicinal bag.
Okay, that's pretty good.
I think this is industry and agriculture.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe industry and forestry.
Right, so there's a gear or a sprocket on his, where his left hand is. And then he has a sledgehammer over his shoulder.
So industry.
Yep, industry. It looks like the gear is on top of an anvil.
Yeah. Renovations.
So I'm going to go with the Schmidt House was built in 1904.
Yeah.
It says due to renovations in progress, the Schmidt House remains closed to group events. So on this plaque, the Schmidt residence 3 meter has been placed on the National Register of Historic Places. It was constructed in 1904.
So it does say here that for house tours of between 1 to 4 people, you can call this phone number. So you can still tour the house. It's just not available for larger events like a wedding.
I don't know if you can see anything in there. Mostly reflection. I like how the house has neoclassical elements to it, or Georgian elements. Yeah, there must be painting in there because there's like a plastic sheet.
There's some drop cloths, yeah. Yeah, I think we should call and schedule a tour.
So this is where the boss lived.
Yes.
Overlooking his brewery down below.
If the Olympia Brewing Company workers were alive today, I'm pretty sure they would subscribe to this channel.
So see, here's the original house, and the addition on the left it's not there in this picture.
In that photo, yeah.
Yeah, the Schmidt House has originally appeared before the 1910 edition.
For reasons lost to posterity, the Schmidts called the new house 3 meter.
So if you look here, here's the Olympia Brewing Company brew house. And then here's the Schmidt House up on top of the hill. But if you look, there's another house that's mid-hill that no longer exists. Be interesting to go down there and see if there was any foundation, any evidence that it was there.
So the conference room wing on the left was added in 1910. And Leopold Schmidt added that so that he could meet with his sons to discuss the brewing business.
Yeah, it looks like there's a master bedroom that was built above it as well. So this here is the last building that I'm aware of that's from historic Tumwater. And it's a church.
It's
the Saint James Anglican Church.
So there's Saint James Church.
Look, there's someone painting in there. Father Stephen Morrison was in the middle of restoration of the cross hanging over the church's altar when we unexpectedly dropped in. Erin and I would like to thank Father Morrison for his kindness and graciousness to let us interrupt his work and take time to answer questions and show us the church.
Hello. Is it okay if we come inside and just take a look around? Yeah, my name is Erin. This is my husband, Rollin.
I'm just in the process of putting the crown of thorns on Jesus, but that was something that was very difficult. It was made by a man by the name of Ernst Schweider. And Ernst Schweider was a world-renowned sculpture carver. He worked at PLU, was a professor up there, died in 1998, I believe. This cross was carved in 1976, and it was carved for the church in Hoquiam. Okay. And it was an Anglican or Episcopal church then, and it closed, and they moved they didn't know what to do with the cross. The cross was not like this at the time. We have some pictures upstairs where we have a couple that attend here that were married under the cross, and so they were really excited about it when they came back to this area about 10 or 12 years ago, and they saw the cross hanging on a roof in Shelton. Wow. And it had been painted battleship gray, and they had hung it outside because they didn't know what else to do with it. And then it was put into a storage big facility up in Shelton, and shortly after they joined, that's Dick and Marlene Taylor, they found out that the man that had the storage facility wanted to get rid of this cross.
What year did you say again this was built?
This was built in either 1869 or started to build it in 1869. I'm sure it was up in 1872. I went over and looked at the maps over there at Trosper's place. So when we got it, or when they built it, it was just like any other facility in that they didn't have any foundations, they didn't have any electricity, they didn't have really anything, plumbing or anything like that. So when the friends got it, they lowered the ceiling. I'll show it to you. You might want to look at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's probably there were exposed beams. It was a higher ceiling type thing.
Yeah. Well, let me show you what it looked like. What you have here is when they bought it, they didn't like the size of it, so they wanted to make it more homely. You can see it better here. Now this building was built in the 1930s, I think, or 40s. I think 30s.
I see this extension of the church.
Yeah, this is not contiguous to the church building. Is totally separate.
Okay.
In fact, the shiplap is still there, and when we found a door inside of this thing, and so the building was this huge box.
Oh yeah.
I see.
All of this is that false ceiling.
Right.
Okay.
So the idea is, and it's a lot bigger when we have a bell for it, and they took the bell's gone. But so what we intended to do is take the ceiling joists out. So then it does look like all the trusses and everything. And and then use pink board and stuff like that to insulate it. I climbed up in the belfry with a level and a tape measure, and I measured across the belfry. I measured and with all of the earthquakes we've had around here, you would expect this thing to just walk all over. Well, it didn't. It's as plumb as, it's maybe a 1/16 of an inch, which is, you can't even make them like that.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
All of the lumber is rough cut fir. We already talked to the city of Tumwater about what is it going to take to do whatever the necessary repairs. There isn't really anything wrong with the building. The roof is new, but it's not what it was before.
Yeah, because I think if you removed this fake ceiling, it would really create a grander space.
Oh, it would.
Well, and I imagine
it would be, the sonics over there.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you sing in here, it would be amazing.
Yeah, and then taking the carpet out. The carpets, the rugs, the floors are all fir, clear fir.
Okay.
Wow.
So finish those, and then just have carpeting and runners to go through so.
Well, thank you for showing us.
Yeah, thank you.
That's pretty cool. All right, well, that was our video looking at Old Tumwater. We hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.